is validated.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect scattered showers and possibly a thunderstorm. High temperatures will be topping out in the upper 70s for the afternoon. And for your Monday night, expect scattered showers to continue. A mostly cloudy sky. Low temperatures will fall into the mid to upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's Action Update. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
Baseball, the Braves at home against the Padres today. Atlanta plus 110 on the money line at home. The Padres at minus 141. The over-under 9. Kyle Muller getting the start for Atlanta against Yu Darvish for San Diego. The Milwaukee Bucks one game away from an NBA championship after taking Game 5 in Phoenix. They are back at home for Game 6 on Tuesday night and a 5-point favorite to the over-under 222. The 2021 Major League Baseball season has resumed, and the odds for who will win the World Series has been updated again, with the Dodgers still atop the odds at plus 350. The Houston Astros behind them at plus 500. The Padres and White Sox each at plus 700, and the Mets at plus 900.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
Hit the horn! Horn! Bring it up, grab a knee. Let's go.
College football lives here.
Today's coverage of the 2021 SEC Media Days is brought to you by University Kia. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
I exposed Azinger to a lot of different things. One of them is different personalities. Azinger, who is doing the color commentary, has known Oosthuizen forever, so I know he can put him in a box. He's like this guy. He's like this guy. In the middle of the back nine, Azinger said that Morikawa has a self-belief that is unbelievable, that he trusts himself, and that is the exact opposite nature of Louis Oosthuizen. Oosthuizen is incredibly humble, nicest guy in the world. Everybody wants to see him win, but at the very core of that, he lacks that internal arrogance, and I don't mean arrogance like slaps you in the face, but that self-belief, and Colin Morikawa has it, and there is no doubt. Now, he may be young, and I think there's some truth to the fact that a young person may not have seen so much happen. He may not understand how important it is. Louis wanted that too much, and his nature with his golf swing, and this goes back to personality, which we measure at Plott Performance. If you go back to that, the nature of folks like Louis, Ernie Els is like this, that they will miss the ball left. And then all of a sudden you saw Louis hitting these little weak bleeders out to the right, and I guarantee you that was a fear of, I don't want to hit it hard and left. And so that was evidence to me of what's going on inside of him. Morikawa, he just absolutely goes right after it, and as soon as Louis gave him an opening, Morikawa went through it, and there was no looking back.
Well, I tell you, the weather conditions really made it, I guess you could say, entertaining, because you knew the scores were going to have to go a little bit low, but the guys really tried to attack it on their own because of the weather, which created its own excitement.
It did. It was a little more like American golf, if you can call links golf anything like American golf. The wind was not the gigantic factor, and then it was just who's going to hit golf shots. And you could tell early on, Louis was playing defense, Morikawa was not. I tell you another guy that if he had made any putts is John Rahm. That would have been a classic showdown, because Rahm just kept stiffing it and lipping them out. And he finished really high, but I think he left 3 or 4 shots. He would tell you that there's at least 4 shots out there. He missed putts inside 10 and 12 feet that they just kept hitting the lip and hitting the lip and hitting the lip. I don't think he's the great putter that you saw out of Spieth or out of Colin Morikawa.
Well, how good was it, and you mentioned Jordan Spieth, how good was it to see him back up atop a leaderboard at a major and striking the ball well?
Yeah, it's always funny. They talked about his style, and his style isn't always real pretty. He may not hit a ton of fairways and he may not hit a ton of greens, but he gets it up and down, and as soon as he gives himself a good look at birdie, it goes in. That is what we love about Jordan Spieth, is it's living a little on the edge and then just pulling it out, making a birdie, saving a par from incredible locations. Morikawa showed a little bit of that, hit it in some bad places and got away with par. That's what you love about the British Open. You can hit a ball down the middle of the fairway and it bounced 30 yards off into the deep rough and you did nothing wrong. It's just brutal on you mentally, brutal on your skills being challenged. It's just fun. I just enjoy watching it.
No doubt, Charlie. And talk about Louis Oosthuizen's countryman Dylan Fratelli, and he had quite a tournament as well. He finishes 9 under, 2 under on the final day, but he gets a top 5 finish in a major, so big for him across the pond.
This is a name that not many people recognize. He's been around, plays on our tour now, and he's a good player. If I understood the story correctly, he was the last man in the field. That there's somebody dropped out and he got in. What an incredible opportunity. Again, it may be a bit of a mindset that if I'm the last one in and I'm just glad I got in, it's kind of like playing with house money. What have I got to lose? This guy played fearless golf in a big event, and one that was really big to him. This is special for him to get into a major and then find himself in contention. There were a lot of great storylines this week.
Well, now we look ahead. That is what, 4 majors in the books already this year?
That's it.
Four majors. That wraps it up.
Yeah, what a boring rest of the year. I mean, I don't know. As much as I loved them moving the PGA Championship earlier, I don't know. Well, what is this going to do to the rest of the golf world? Is it just going
It's called the Ryder Cup.
Okay. Okay. There we go. Well, okay. At least that gives us – well, no, I mean, I was worried. I mean, I forgot it was a Ryder Cup year.
Ryder Cup year.
I did forget, and that'll be a good – I cannot wait for the Ryder Cup because the conversation is going to be Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau because they're on the team together, and if you just want to have fun, pair them up just one time together. Make them play together one time.
Well, if I'm a captain, I wouldn't do that for the life of me because that's not – I'd love them to be on opposite teams. I don't know if anybody heard what happened after the broadcast that we had the other day that, Bryson was dogging his equipment, and you played that clip on Friday.
Yeah.
So along comes Brooks with a great round. And they asked him, tell us about your round. And Brooks said, man, I drove the ball great, and I absolutely loved my driver. I thought that was priceless.
Yeah, that was a great clip. I saw that on Twitter. No doubt some fun from Brooks Koepka toward his guy, Bryson DeChambeau. And Koepka had a pretty solid 4 days.
He did. He hit just a few too many unfortunate shots and didn't make a few putts that I'm sure he would like to have made. You just look at this guy and it's just a majors top 10, top 5 or a win. It just goes and goes and goes. I would be suspicious we're going to see similar out of Colin Morikawa, that you're going to end up with some guys here that are just, you hear their name over and over and over again. 5 or 6 years ago, none of us really knew who Brooks Koepka was. Now that's one of the first names we look for on the leaderboard. Okay, what's Brooks doing now? It's a major. I think it's going to be that way with Morikawa.
Well, let's talk about the Ryder Cup 2021, Charlie. What do you expect to see from the Team USA?
Well, I think there'll be a really, really strong team. We have Steve Stricker being the captain, and Stricker was part of what Azinger did at Valhalla. Matter of fact, he was a really crucial piece to what we did. We had certain guys that we knew were kind of Swiss Army knives, that you could put them with this guy and you could put them with that guy. Stricker has very much a similar personality type as Oosthuizen, and he's rather benign. He's not real offensive or aggressive in any fashion, and you could pair him with almost anyone. And I don't know if golfers remember this, but Tiger and Stricker just dominated the President's Cup, and we were putting them together for the Ryder Cup, and then Tiger hurt his knee and never really played much the rest of the year after the U.S. Open. So we didn't have that, but he was somebody you could move anywhere. I think he's going to have several of those folks at his disposal in the Ryder Cup, that Stricker will be aware of the things that need to be done to put compatible folks together. I think it's going to be outstanding this year. I think the European team is going to be awesome. I think that the U.S. team is going to be really strong. It's going to be interesting how they make them mesh together. Who do you put with DeChambeau? Who do you put with Koepka? I think those are going to be really great questions to see answered. I think Morikawa is somebody who could fit with several different types of people, very similar to the way Stricker did, although Morikawa comes in with a much greater resume than Steve Stricker ever had.
All right, Friday, September 24th, September 26th is when it wraps up. Whistling Straits is the golf course for this year's
Boy,
Ryder
that'll
Cup.
be fun.
Yeah, I'm assuming we won't see Koepka and DeChambeau together.
I'm just kidding on that one. I knew that was
that
not
would be
happen.
funny, though. It would be great, but it would be what kind of media coverage you'd have for that. No question about it. Charlie, just to wrap up the British Open, of course you got to give Morikawa all the credit. Now he's got the 2020 PGA. He's got this major under his belt now across the pond, but. With Louis Oosthuizen and just playing so poorly in the final round, how does he recover in your mind?
I don't know. I think Oosthuizen wanted it too much, and fear creeps in. Don't mess up becomes kind of the mantra, and that applies to every one of us every day. I was in the office the other day working on something, sharing it with a coworker that I share everything with, and his comment to me was, why do you doubt it? Why do you doubt this information? Why do you doubt your presentation you're going to make? We all face that, and so how do we overcome it? We've got to go in and truly believe in ourselves, and that is the secret to organizations, to leadership, to each individual accomplishing it, what they're called to do in life. And I think Louis, if he can recover from it, it's going to be finding a belief in himself that surpasses all the doubt and fear. He just needed to let it go, and he was hanging on. He was white-knuckling it all the way in.
No doubt. And now with Morikawa, as you said, this means so much to him. Charlie, I get you. Once again, I guess we know who the PGA Tour Player of the Year is going to be. Probably this guy, even with what he's done in the last calendar year. Just great stuff for him. And now it's always neat to see another star kind of rise up, and he's been the story.
Well, and he's likable.
Yeah.
You just listen to him. He's likable. And I think that's really important to the tour. You have lots of guys that have won a couple of events. Colin just, is out there with what he's done. I think that it makes the tour more likable. I mean, we get behind Koepka, and we love this thing with DeChambeau, and then you got this kid who just doesn't look like the physical specimen they are, doesn't come off with the attitude they do. But when you stack them up, he believes in his game as much as anybody out there, and it shows. He didn't just step into the lead. He stepped into the lead and put his foot on the gas. And Louis was playing hang on, don't mess up, and Morikawa is just like, I'm going, I'm trusting, I'm believing. And, that's what I want to see in every one of my clients. I don't care how good you are, believe in it. Because what's your other option? Doubt? Doubt does you no good whatsoever, and Morikawa proved that, and Louis Oosthuizen proved that. Doubt killed Oosthuizen, no doubt led Morikawa to the victory.
All right. Well, great stuff, Charlie. Great stuff.
As always, Charlie, tell everyone about Plott Performance, what you got going on. Thank you for the time this morning, a busy one for you, but we appreciate you wrapping up the British Open here live from SEC Media Days. We're going to have a lot of football conversation, but this is a major championship. We always wrap them up with you, and you do a great job of analyzing everything. Let everybody know what you got going on.
Well, first of all, thank you all. You all do a fabulous job. Folks don't know how easy you all make it look, and I know it isn't that easy. Go to plottperformance.com. We've got a bunch of webinars. There's some podcasts up on there. There's a way for you to take a golf profile and find out what you're like. You may take it and want to call me and go, am I like this guy or am I like that guy? We can let you know. So go to plottperformance.com.
All right. Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie. Have a great rest of your morning, man.
Yeah, y'all have a blast down there.
All right. That is Charlie Plott helping us wrap up the Open Championship. Colin Morikawa, your champion yesterday, his second major before he's 25 years of old. So
wow,
off to a great start. Speaking off to a great start, SEC Media Days 2021 getting ready to get off to a great start. When we come back, we'll run down some more headlines from Hoover. SEC Media Days 2021 presented by University Kia on this Monday.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Sounds like Decatur PD has a crime scene in the 100 block of 5th Avenue Northwest. I'm sure they have that area blocked off. They're doing a full investigation. Just got a report of a tree down in Morgan County. West Point and Fowler got some road blockage there. Still trying to clear a couple of injury wrecks. Sutton Road and Taylor Road and 565 eastbound near Madison Boulevard. Snelling needs an experienced safety manager for a South Huntsville facility. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Problem. You want to get in shape, but packing a bag, getting gas, and driving to a gym is an expensive hassle. Solution? See Huntsville Fitness Equipment and build your own gym. That's right. Huntsville Fitness Equipment has commercial-grade equipment at home-grade prices. They'll deliver and set it up and save you up to $500 over the competition. And with brand names like Power Plate, Life Fitness, Hoist, and Bodycraft, you'll have quality equipment that lasts. Financing is available. Quality's guaranteed. Huntsville Fitness Equipment, 7540 South Memorial Parkway or fitnesszone.com.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. The electrical panel is the heart of your home's electrical system. Malfunctions can lead to hazards like fire or power outages, leaving your home at risk or in the dark altogether. Fixing it quickly will help keep you and your family safe. So trust our team of electrical experts at Mr. Sparky to get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
Hit the horn! Horn! Up, bring it up, grab a knee. Let's go.
College football lives here.
Today's coverage of the 2021 SEC Media Days is brought to you by University Kia.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up at noon today. Now, back to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And welcome back to Talkin Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, SEC Media Days 2021. Today's coverage brought to you by University Kia along University Drive. Remember, they want to see you in a Kia, and they have put us in a Kia for the week as our good friends Arthur Seaton, the official travel providers for Talking Ball, as we made our journey down here to SEC Media Days. And, Drew, we talked about the fact that it would be Shane Beamer, Brian Harsin, and Clark Lee's first appearance at SEC Media Days, but that's not entirely true, because it'll also be the first set of media days for Arkansas's Sam Pittman, Mike Leach, and Eli Drinkwitz, along with Josh Heupel as well. Can't forget Josh Heupel, because we didn't have media days last year. So this is the first year we get to see Mike Leach in person, as well as Eli Drinkwitz and Sam Pittman, because we didn't get to see them last year. So really, it's a first go-around for a bunch of coaches.
Well, and think about it. You know what I've been saying for years, that I wanted Mike Leach in this league. So
yes,
can't wait to hear what he has to say. Someone asked me the other day, if you could, watch any press conference and be a part of it, and of course I said, of course I love covering Nick Saban, but they said sans Alabama, and I was like, Mike Leach, because you never know what he's going to say, what unique thing he's going to bring to the table, what kind of mood he's going to be in. It's great. I mean, he's going to what tangent he may go off on. He's just a unique personality and character, and glad to have him in the SEC year 2 in Starkville and to see him here.
You look at past media days, and I think you go all the way back to the Tim Tebow days, and that was the real star power. I mean, everybody was clamoring for the day that Tim Tebow arrived, and there has been plenty of star power between now and then that has gotten the media's interest, that has peaked up SEC media days. Johnny Manziel. Are we missing that star power this year in Hoover? Is the SEC, there are plenty of talented athletes coming in, no doubt. Yeah. But are we missing that star power this year at SEC Media Days like we've had in the past?
Well, what it really is to me is it's just going to be who are the guys that are going to fill those voids. And we have an idea, but you don't know until it happens.
Right.
And so, in a way, even though JT Daniels is, we think, going to be great.
Georgia fans have already given him the Heisman.
I mean, we know Georgia's got a great football team, but I mean, again, but even with JT Daniels, it's not a complete body of work,
right?
Because he had one pretty good year as a freshman at USC, then he hurt his knee, then he lost his job, and then he didn't play the whole season at Georgia. So yeah, in a way, we are lacking the proven star talent. Though I will say, he won't be here with Auburn. Bo Nix will be offensively, but I think Tank Bigsby is a big-time player. I mean, I think he can be the best running back in the league. And the way Auburn is going to play football, we think now. We haven't seen it because you don't have the film to watch unless you watch Boise State. But he's going to be a huge part of that offense. And he wasn't healthy at the end of last year, and it showed for Auburn. But if they've got a healthy Tank Bigsby and he's the best running back in the SEC, that's a huge weapon for the Tigers.
All right, so that is one of the big things that we'll be kind of following. Obviously, no fans this year here at SEC Media Days, so that is a big difference. It's kind of quiet, and it usually is here on Monday to kick things off. It is usually kind of everyone's just starting to flow in a little bit because, again, Greg Sankey doesn't start until 11:30, so the action kind of starting to pick up here along Radio Row, but even for us, it's a big difference because normally there's about 40, 42 radio stations
and
along
Radio
Row.
Got a couple inches in between each other, man.
Now there's only 21 radio stations, so we're a little spread out a little bit more. It's not as chaotic as what it is in the past. And speaking of no fans, limited number of media, Drew, there are only, of the 14 teams coming to Hoover this week, only 3 have brought quarterbacks. The last time we had media days, there were 9 teams that brought quarterbacks. Where have the quarterbacks gone?
NFL and graduating. That's what happens. Sometimes you go through cycles. And
right.
This is you'll go through a cycle where there's a ton of quarterbacks returning, and it's one of the defining stories of the week. And then sometimes it's about the new guys, and it's about the Bryce Youngs, and how good can he be in the second year? Connor Bazelak, is he going to be, elite? Emory Jones, who's got huge shoes to fill because of Kyle Trask being gone. That's what's going to kind of be. Who is it going to be at Kentucky? I mean,
who's it going to be at Tennessee?
I mean, what is Kentucky's offense going to look like?
We
don't know because, there's been some subterfuge going on with Mark Stoops, so it's pretty amazing. But I know we got a caller on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Shane in Decatur wants to join us live here at the Winfrey Hotel in Hoover, Alabama for SEC Media Days Day 1. Shane, what's going on?
Morning, Shane.
How you doing today?
We're doing
good.
We're doing well, man. What's up?
Well, happy SEC Media Days, first of all. But I got a couple of questions that I myself would like to ask Shane Beamer. But if you guys get a chance, I'd just like to know what type of offense we plan on running this year. And I also would like to ask him where does he see our program in 3 years?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the kind of offense that Shane Beamer will run, I mean, what do we know about Virginia Tech, Drew? I mean, what kind of offense did Virginia Tech go with?
No, and that's his dad.
Right.
You have to really follow his Shane's journey, and he's trying to put something together like Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. He just came from OU. They've kind of set the standard. They definitely in the Big 12 and one of the top in the country, the 3 or 4, with the way they're quarterback centric and They're balanced with the run and the pass. That's what they're going to try to do. They've got a huge building block. They got the leading returning rusher in the SEC, in Kevin Harris, who in 10 games went for 1,100 plus yards. And so he's going to be one of the best there is, I think, in the SEC. There's no doubt about it. That offensive line returns 4 starters, so they've got to be confident in their O-line. The interesting thing is the quarterback position, because it's kind of been a little bit of a revolving door since Jake Bentley transferred first to Utah, now to South Alabama. They haven't been able to find that guy that they just build their program around. And the interesting part is Luke Doty, who's a sophomore now, he started the last 2 games last year, so he's going in as the favorite. We'll see if he can hold on to the job. He was a winner in high school, won a state title as a junior, was probably going to play for one again as a senior, but got injured. But he's a guy that they like his talent. They like what he did the last couple games. But they've got some holes to fill at wide receiver because Shi Smith moved on to the NFL. He was by far their biggest playmaker there. And then they've got to rebuild their secondary. J.C. Horn, who still doesn't get enough credit. That guy was a great player. I know he opted out near the end when Will Muschamp got dismissed. But still, he's a heck of a player. They've got some guys in the secondary they've got to replace on that back end. But they're confident in their front 7 defensively and their pass rush. So it's going to be really interesting. South Carolina, to me, is a polarizing team. I've said before, and I'm going to stick to it, that I think there's a drop-off, and you put South Carolina, Vandy, and Tennessee and just shake them up. But if you ask me which one of those 3 teams could surprise this year, I would say probably South Carolina, because I just think Tennessee lost too much in the portal. Right. I thought Shane Beamer kept his roster together fairly decently, and so we'll see. But I think South Carolina is one of those kind of sleepers that until we watch them play in the fall, Shane, we're not going to know.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a great day and enjoy SEC Media Day. So.
All right, thanks Shane. Yeah, that is some interesting things. I mean, we know if you watch Tennessee spring game a little bit, you kind of know what you're going to get from Josh Heupel offensively. They're going to go fast. They're going to want to go fast. But who is going to be the engineer of that offense to go fast? That we don't know. You look at Brian Harsin and his blueprint from Boise State, it's going to look a lot different than what we saw under Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn wants all gas, no brakes now at Central Florida.
Right.
But what is Brian Harsin going to do? Are they going to play a little bit more control? How much more involved will the tight end be under a Brian Harsin offense versus what we saw with Gus Malzahn at Auburn? That we don't know. And what is Clark Lee going to bring to Vanderbilt? I mean, we talked a lot about a lot of these new coaches and the expectations, but we always forget to talk about Clark Lee and what he might bring to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, offensively, we're not really sure. I mean, they had a young QB last year as a freshman who made some plays. Defensively, you'd think that's what his backbone is going to be, what he did at Notre Dame. And he's been in the Vandy program before, so he kind of understands the culture there and the leadership of the school. Are they going to give him more, leeway to build the program? Because Derek Mason I guess it was 7 years, he just kind of made chicken salad out of chicken, what. I mean, as best he could. He won some bowl games. I mean, it almost seemed like at times he had one hand tied behind his back. He had some staff turnover.
I'm going to miss him here at SEC Media Days.
He's one head coach you just see walking up and down Radio Row. That never happens.
He would be here today.
Yeah,
if Vanderbilt was here on Thursday.
He'd come down from his room, just walk around and sit down for like 25 minutes if you'd like. I mean, and that's like, in SEC coaches' nomenclature, that's like an hour and a half. Because you're lucky to get 5 minutes with him. But he'd sit there and, I know he's been on 97.7 The Zone just talking football, and that was refreshing, to have him down here. But he knew he needed to promote his program, and because he wasn't getting a lot of help in Nashville in that regard, and he wanted to put the brand out there. And I thought really when you're talking about having to fill the shoes of a James Franklin who had those back-to-back 9-win seasons and bowl wins, that's hard to do because he did things at Vanderbilt we'd never seen before. And so he had some really big shoes to fill, did a nice job in Nashville for the most part. And now I really think the strength of Auburn football this year, besides Tank, I know Tank's going to be the heartbeat of the offense, but I really think Auburn will be good defensively, because Derek, he knows the league so well. and I think he knows how everybody coaches. He knows what he's got at Auburn, and I think he'll do a good job of – he always did a great job to me at Vandy of maximizing his personnel defensively. Yes. I think he'll do the same thing at Auburn, except he'll have better players. And so he turned out some pros at Vandy, and he'll turn out some pros at Auburn. And I think for Brian Harsin, it was his best hire was to get a guy so familiar with the league defensively because they're going to have to stop some people because this offense is, I think, lacking in talent in some ways, and they got to keep Tank healthy because if Tank's not healthy – Auburn's going to be in trouble offensively.
Well, speaking of Vanderbilt, a little gimmicky here, but Clark Lee and the football program removing all jersey numbers off the roster, saying that the guys have to earn their numbers before they can be assigned a number.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has a different style. I think it's kind of hokey a little bit. And
yeah.
I was joking with our compatriot Steve Moulton, who will be hosting the drive tonight from 5 to 7. He's going to be our on-site engineer here too. But, to me, it sounds Gary Barnett-ish. When Gary went from Northwestern to Colorado, and he was trying to re-spark that program that had, under Bill McCartney that had kind of gone stale. He did. I think he did the numbers thing. He took the logos off the helmets and all this kind of stuff, and threatened everybody, and it didn't work. So that they weren't very good. So. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. That's for sure.
All right, I tell you what, it is 7:42. Let's get our break in here. When we come back, we are live from Hoover, Alabama, SEC Media Days 2021, courtesy of University Kia on this Monday. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation and get you ready for what lies ahead here all week long at SEC Media Days 2021.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed precision overhead garage door service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision overhead garage door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision overhead garage door service. Call 256-400-4500.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hometown Lenders was founded right here in North Alabama on old school principles. We like to call them the 4 Ps. The best products, the best processes, competitive pricing, and of course, the best people. It's why we're one of America's fastest growing mortgage lenders. We're now adding a 5th P, the Hometown Promise. If we don't close on time, you don't pay a dime. Yes, you heard that right. On time, every time, or we refund 100% of our fees.
With an impressive roster of explosive young superstars and the reigning MVP, the Atlanta Braves are showing the East what they're made of.
1-1 on the way. He connects it. It's a high fly ball to deep right field, way back towards the seats, and this ball is gone!
Your new home of the Atlanta Braves.
Hit high in the air to deep right center field. We are tied!
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Problem. You want to get in shape, but packing a bag, getting gas, and driving to a gym is an expensive hassle. Solution? See Huntsville Fitness Equipment and build your own gym. That's right. Huntsville Fitness Equipment has commercial-grade equipment at home-grade prices. They'll deliver and set it up and save you up to $500 over the competition. And with brand names like Power Plate, Light Fitness, Hoist, and Bodycraft, you'll have quality equipment that lasts. Financing is available. Quality's guaranteed. Huntsville Fitness Equipment, 7540 South Memorial Parkway or fitnesszone.com.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. The electrical panel is the heart of your home's electrical system. Malfunctions can lead to hazards like fire or power outages, leaving your home at risk or in the dark altogether. Fixing it quickly will help keep you and your family safe. So trust our team of electrical experts at Mr. Sparky to get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8 Sparky.
Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Get savings on Pro Essentials at the Lowe's Just for Pros event going on now. Save on select appliance special values. Plus, save an additional $50 when you buy 2 or more appliances, each price $396 or more. Find more savings throughout the store at Lowe's, the new home for pros. Must ask cashier to apply discount in store. Online must use promo code. Can't be combined with any other discounts. See Lowe's.com for exclusions and terms. Valid 7/15 through 8/4. U.S. only.
Bring that playoff intensity every day to our shows.
Bring it on, Chomp. Let's go.
Okay, maybe just for Drew DeArmond.
Ding, me.
Listen for Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew. Weekday mornings starting at 7 on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hit the horn. Horn. Bring it up, grab a knee. Let's go.
College football lives here.
Today's coverage of the 2021 SEC Media Days is brought to you by University Kia.
Welcome back to SEC Media Days 2021. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. The fun will begin again at 11:30. Greg Sankey will hit the podium. We will be hearing from Dan Mullen, Ed Orgeron, and Shane Beamer later today, but you never know who just might join the chair along SEC Media Days. This is the fun part of the week.
No, this is, and I had some fun this past year. I was on his show. Now he's in a new time slot on 680 The Fan. Long-time fixture there. It will be 10 to 11 Eastern, 9 to 10 Central today. Really his new time slot. And it's Georgia quarterback national champion Buck Bellew with us today. Buck, it is great to see you this morning on SEC Media Days. We're just glad to be here in person and see people. Yeah. And congratulations on the move, the new show. And I know you're fired up about it, and you're fired up about Georgia football and this SEC year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good to be on in Huntsville.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's talk about, we did not get this pageantry last year.
Not at all.
Now we're back this year.
I missed it. How about you guys?
Oh, man.
We did.
This is my favorite week of the year, Buck. I love being able to see you, see everyone here, talk football, talk about this SEC race. I think Alabama and Georgia are the two best teams right now, at least on paper, in each division. And I think it's pretty substantial, at least on Georgia's side in the East. But I think they're both the two heavy favorites to meet again, and we've seen when they've hooked up the classic games they've had. But I did say this, though. I think a lot of pressure on Kirby Smart because I think he's got a roster put together now where he can win a championship.
Well, let's hope so. Gosh, it's been, a little over 40 years. So, look, we're known as a bunch of underachievers these days, and it's a real shame because we had Alabama on the hook a couple times and, let them off. The national title game. Still got a blister somewhere, still hurting a little bit from that one. And then the SEC title game, let that get away too. And, I feel a little better, though, because, both those instances where Alabama came back, beat Georgia, they had this big-time, big-name quarterback that was a backup they brought off the bench. I don't think they have that this year.
You make a great point there.
Yeah, talk about Georgia. They've got a quarterback that should be big time this year. All indications are that he has the tools, and that being JT Daniels.
Yeah, JT, look, last year, a year ago this time, we're trying to figure out who the quarterback's going to be, obviously. Right. And JT's knee, as I understand it, didn't progress as quickly as they needed it to for him to be the starter early in the year, so it took a little bit. But I had gone back and watched all of his games as a freshman at USC with the Trojans. And so coming in, my take on 680 The Fan in Atlanta is this guy's the most qualified quarterback on campus, and he needs to be the starting quarterback. And it's just a shame that he wasn't able to be ready at least prior to the Georgia-Florida game down in Jacksonville. That might have made a big difference there.
I don't think there's any doubt. When we saw him, it reminded me kind of the switch that was flipped when he got in the lineup was when Tua came in the national championship game against Georgia, when all of a sudden you saw the passing game and the receivers become a huge factor. Now the only unfortunate part is we won't see George Pickens for the majority of this year, we think. He gets injured. So where is the receiver core at Georgia right now?
Well, look, the last two seasons has been a little bit of a weakness. When you get past George Pickens, it's been a real weakness on this team. the previous 2 seasons. But I'm here to tell you this morning, look, it's not a weakness anymore. They have solidified this position, and that was even before Gilbert comes over from LSU, going to play that X-wide receiver spot to replace George. But they go, 6'8" quality wide receivers at that position. So the group looks strong. Look, I didn't even mention who's at tight end, big Darnell Washington, and I believe he's going to be one of the breakout stars this season in the SEC. So look out for Big Zero there at tight end, 6'7", 270 pounds, running a 4.6 40, really athletic. I hope right now Todd Monken is designing ways to get big Darnell the ball this season. But, the receiving group it looks strong. And J.T. Daniels totally unlocked that passing game last season. I expect him to do even better throwing that ball around this year.
What is the pressure point there for Kirby to take that next step, to win that national championship this year?
Well, look, it's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And so that's, I was here brainstorming for my show today and looking for that Georgia angle. And, for me at least right now, an hour before the show, it's going to be, what's the narrative going to be? You got these rally cries,
Right.
Yes, sir. Like my high school sons are they're playing for a high school coach that says, do more. That's the phrase for them this year. So I'm anxious to see what he's going to say. Look, these people are going to ask him about coming up short against Alabama and putting it in a way of, is this the year you get over the Alabama hump? But I'm sure he'll say, well, we got this team Clemson up at the top, but we're going to have to worry about them first.
I cannot wait for that game. That's going to be so fascinating because it's not going to hurt either team who loses it because they still can win their league. They can still be in the playoff, but you are dang sure going to know how good you are right away because the thing is we saw enough of J.T. Daniels and DJU, Uiagalelei, to know how good both of them are. And to me, it's the best matchup of the opening weekend.
Yeah, look, Clemson, I wonder about their offensive line.
A little bit, yeah.
And I really like Georgia's defensive front, by the way.
Yeah.
I think, some of these preseason magazines may be undervalued what they have on the defensive line. Clemson's defensive line is one of the tops in college football, and people are regarding that as that way. So this Georgia offensive line is going to have to gel real quick. Matt Luke has done a great job, both recruiting and coaching them up during the game. Guys, I didn't think there was any way in the world that Georgia and Kirby would be able to replace Sam Pittman, who took that Arkansas job. But I guarantee you, man, Matt Luke's been close to doing exactly the same things that Sam was doing, and that is recruiting really outstanding offensive linemen and then coaching them up. So that's going to be a great matchup there. That Georgia offensive line, that Clemson defensive front, it's going to be one of the big matchups in the game.
Well, talk about what Coach Smart has done in the offseason, though. The one thing he's done via the transfer portal, because that's become another story into itself, he's basically rebuilt a lot of his secondary through the portal. Talk about that because he got some guys that look like they're good fits, but they just need to gel in camp.
Yeah, the cornerback spot is what happens is Kirby goes to spring football practice, and they've got all these five-star freshmen, redshirt freshmen, incoming freshmen that they've signed to play cornerback. And I assume Kirby, at the end of spring ball, said these guys aren't ready to help us win a championship yet, so we've got to hit the free agent market. And I saw where Kirby regarded as having the best free agency season of any team in college football. Kendrick's a player. Tyke Smith, an All-American kind of player you're going to plug in at that nickel spot. Amir Speed is the one guy, I think, that will start at the other boundary corner, who's been around the program for a while, just waiting on his opportunity, and he gets it this year. So, the secondary looks like it's going to be okay.
You played the game. Your thoughts on the transfer portal now, seeing where college football has evolved into with the one-time transfer and
now
everything that goes into
all this
it.
kind of stuff.
Well, I like the one-time transfer.
Yeah.
I do like that. So many of these kids make a mistake when they first sign coming out of high school. And it seemed like when I was playing, man, you transfer. Are you kidding? I mean, it'd be like, escaping from a communist country to be able to get out of there, So not that I ever thought about it.
Yes,
Maybe
sir.
just a minute early.
Yeah.
Freshman and sophomore year. But, it's – I think it's, it gives the player that makes a mistake, or say a coach, they came to play for a coach, and that coach has moved on. I think it's only fair to give him one shot.
Well,
I just don't want to see the kid transferring every year. I see this coaching travel baseball in Atlanta. We've got kids I see playing for a different team every year, and then you see in high school football you got a quarterback. He's played in 3 different high schools, so that seems a little crazy to me. But the one-time rule, I do like it.
Well, and Buck, I just wanted to ask you real quickly, my final question for you. As far as offensively and defensively, who is the most indispensable guy on each side of the ball for Georgia, and who's somebody flying under the radar on each side that we need to watch for?
Well, I gave you the under the radar on offense. Darnell Washington, the tight end, is a beast, a freak of an athlete. I'd be stunned if they didn't try to get him the ball 5 to 10 times a game, so keep an eye on him. Defensively, I like Jalen Carter. He's from Apopka, Florida, Warren Sapp's hometown. And, this kid plays like Warren Sapp on the defensive front. Played as a freshman a year ago in the SEC. Man, that tells you something right there. He'll be better, even better this season. So those are 2 guys to look out for, one on each side of the ball. Indispensable, gosh, I would say JT Daniels offensively. But I tell you, this Carson Beck looked really good in the G-Day scrimmage this spring, and I think he's got a chance to be something special. Defensively, maybe Nakobe Dean, outstanding inside linebacker, underpublicized coming into this year. I don't see him on many of these preseason All-SEC teams, but I guarantee you this, guys, you're going to see him on the postseason All-SEC team.
Well, Buck, I guarantee you this, you're going to have a great new show, and we love Monty Rice. He's from our area, and he had a great career with Georgia. We caught it with him during the draft process. I think he's going to be a great player for the Titans, and so I think if Nakobe Dean can fill his shoes, it'll be big for Georgia.
So are you going with Alabama, Georgia, West-East winners?
Yes. And I'm glad you're not asking me who's winning that matchup. Yeah, I'll go Alabama, Georgia.
And we'll see what happens.
That would be fun. You get Georgia, Clemson to start the year, and possibly Alabama, Georgia to end the SEC championship.
Can we just make it a first-half game? That way we win, right?
Oh, Buck Bellew helping us wrap
really
up hour
it.
number 1 of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We have got hour 2 coming up for you, and it is going to be great. Chuck Oliver going to sit in the chair here coming up after the break.
Sitting here with Ann Adams of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Rise Real Estate. Is it a good time to sell your home, Ann?
Yes, it is. We have people relocating from all over the country.
Why should we choose Rise Real Estate?
Well, we've been selling real estate in North Alabama for 36 years and have sold more real estate than any other real estate company, period.
Do you help your customers through the entire process?
Yes, our agents are with you during the whole process from start to finish, from beginning to end.
In your relocation services, you have a whole team.
Yes, we have a dedicated relocation department helping customers move seamlessly into the area.
Ann Adams has been writing contracts for the last 36 years. She has the experience to help you list and sell your home, downsize your home, or help pick the perfect spot north of Alabama for you to build a future.
Call Ann Adams at 256-337-2625 or on the web at www.bhhsriserealestate.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Decatur PD's got a working crime scene in the 100 block of 5th Avenue Northwest. We don't have a lot of information as of yet. Sutton Road and Taylor Road was our last reported accident, reported with an injury. It should be clearing. Got a tree down in Morgan County, West Point and Fowler. That one may be blocking up some traffic. Of course, we're dealing with a heavy traffic load with wet streets. You be careful this morning. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the Heart Doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect scattered showers and possibly a thunderstorm. High temperatures will be topping out in the upper 70s for the afternoon. And for your Monday night, expect scattered showers to continue. A mostly cloudy sky. Low temperatures will fall into the mid to upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brett Musburger's Action Update. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
The Milwaukee Bucks one game away from an NBA championship after taking Game 5 in Phoenix. They are back at home for Game 6 on Tuesday night and a 5-point favorite to the over-under 222. The 2021 Major League Baseball season has resumed, and the odds for who will win the World Series has been updated again, with the Dodgers still atop the odds at plus 350, the Houston Astros behind them at plus 500, the Padres and White Sox each at plus 700, and the Mets at plus 900. Baseball, the Braves at home against the Padres today. Atlanta plus 110 on the money line at home. The Padres at minus 141, the over-under 9. Kyle Muller getting the start for Atlanta against Yu Darvish for San Diego.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
Hit the horn! Horn! Up, bring it up, grab a knee. Let's go.
College football lives here.
Today's coverage of the 2021 SEC Media Days is brought to you by University Kia.
Our Monday coverage brought to you by our very good friends over at University Kia. They want to see you in a Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. And it is University Kia is the official travel sponsor of Talking Ball, as they were kind enough to let us explore SEC Media Days in a Kia. So head on out there to University Kia. They got great financing offers available. Don't forget, they have the Telluride, they have the Carnival. It is University Kia along University Drive. And we had Buck Ballou helping us wrap up hour number 1. Great conversation there about Georgia, JT Daniels, and the expectations of Kirby Smart. But now we're going to kind of broaden our college football landscape horizon a little bit and go beyond the Georgia talk, and we'll talk all 14 teams.
Well, and this is an honor. This has kind of turned into a tradition the first day to have him on our show, and we were just not really half joking that we haven't seen him in 24 months with some FaceTime, but it's always great to be part of one of the 51 stations to feature the Chuck Oliver Show from noon to 2 every day on ESPN 97.7 The Zone. You'll hear it today, and he's here with us this morning. Chuck Oliver himself, the king of college football. Chuck, welcome back, man. How are you?
Yeah, isn't that it? Welcome back. Isn't it so good to be in front of folks? You know, I was telling Scott, I was like, Scott, good to see you once every 12 months. No, not this time. So I guess we'll do a once every 2 years in person this one time. But it is good to be back, man.
It feels a little different. There's no fans this year. We don't get the guy with the Alabama ring on his head. We don't get the painted dog. We don't get a lot of that other stuff.
Oh, the dueling Bear Bryants.
Yeah.
Yes.
We
don't get those either.
Yeah, well, hopefully it won't be raining all week. We'll see some of them outside.
There was, I remember, whoever the Bear impersonator OG was. Now, it's kind of weird to call like an 80-year-old guy an OG, but he showed up, and apparently his hustle was pretty popular because the next year the second Bear Bryant showed up. And I was like, all right, see, you don't get this in Atlanta.
No,
so that kind of that may take away a little bit of the fanfare of SEC Media Days, the hype a little bit. But you look at, and we were talking about this earlier in the show, there's really not that star power as far as athletes go at SEC Media Days this year. We've got some names. We got JT Daniels and we got Bo Nix. but we don't have that star power, that power that everybody is focused on.
That's true. And you could even say, and I think it's partly the times, but also it's partly the personalities. You don't have that from the coaches, really. There are a very few coaches who will still answer the question that you ask. And again, they've got their objectives, so I understand that.
Yep.
But a lot of times it's, if you give me the transcript of an answer, and like you can ask something specific about what's the toughest about your first, week one opponent. And I can't tell if it's Kirby or Clark Lee,
Right.
depending on, and it should be a vastly different answer for those two guys.
Right.
Don't y'all remember the days like Tommy Tuberville would show up a day early, and he would do.
We were talking about that at dinner last
night. If you didn't get Tuberville, it's because you weren't trying. James Franklin, I couldn't shake James Franklin. He talked to a commercial break one time, and we came back. I was like, Coach Franklin's still here, so we'll just keep part 2. It was like an A&E biography.
Derek Mason, same way.
Absolutely. So you had all those coaches, except for Bobby Petrino. You had all these coaches with so much personality and fun and all that. It's one of those things where I know it's because of the time and controlling the message and social media and the immediacy of feedback from people you've never even been in the same state with. But it really is missing some of that personality.
And I want to piggyback a question off what you just said. Controlling the message. How do you expect SEC coaches to still try to control that, but yet we see the name, image, and likeness situation?
Oh yeah, man, that toothpaste is out of the tube. In fact, have y'all ever been to Super Bowl Radio Row?
Yes. When we went with Atlanta.
Yes. Fantastic. Okay, so y'all know when you get Marshall Faulk or Ray Lewis or Lynn Swann or some huge name. Hey, I want to tell you about right guard Extra Fresh first, and you got to go through that.
Yep.
I am really wondering how many pitches I'm going to have to listen to because, when you're at Radio Row and Super Bowl, the payoff is Marshall Faulk or Kurt Warner, the guy who was there.
Yes.
We got to be honest. Most times when you take players, if it's not for who you're the flagship of, it's throwing a bone to the SID so that later he'll give you the coach. That's going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of folks listening to a lot of, advertising pitches during these interviews, and then they're never going to get Ed Ogeron. Even though they got both LSU players and whatever else. And so that's going to be a big change this year as well.
I wonder how many people it's going to take for, like us, radio stations, small market, to realize we could get a sponsor and pay for said athlete to sit at our table.
Oh, yeah, that's already happening as well. What is it, Texags?
Texags,
yeah,
yes.
well, they're too fantastic.
Yes.
And all they're doing is, checking a box, taking, advantage of an opportunity. I was talking, maybe it was Thursday or Friday last week. If we DeLorean back 10, 12 years, did Nick Saban, the amount of crap he got for, quote, roster management, bad guy, hates the kids, selfish, just in it for him, he's processing kids out of the program. Is that not the number one personnel trait for a head coach right now? If you don't know how to manage your roster and, quote, process kids along, all right, welcome to 3-9. It's just, you talk about the incredible change in environment over just last 5-10 years. The number one criticism about Saban is now the number one priority for every coach everywhere.
Yeah, that's a great point, Chuck. We're talking to Chuck Oliver, host of the Chuck Oliver Show. You'll hear from noon to 2 today on ESPN 97.7 The Zone. And now we've got the transfer portal has become such a big topic because of roster management. We just heard from Buck Bellew at the end of hour one. You know him well. Kirby Smart has basically rebuilt his secondary after the spring out of the transfer portal. Nick Saban has added 2 or 3 big pieces. That's become in recruiting now, you got to save a few scholarships on the back end to try to go into that portal almost every year now.
Oh, it used to be just 1 or 2, and now, excuse me, you see, Florida State with 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 transfers. There's one thing about it, though. I used to play that EA Sports, the college football game. Loved it.
Yes. Oh, I do, too. Can't wait for it to come back, by the way.
Absolutely. So you put in whatever the agility and speed and all that stuff is, then it works out mathematically that's how the guy performs. On the offensive line and the secondary, that is not how it works, I promise you. You think about it like your wide receiver core. I'm going 4 wide. 2 of the guys don't do their job on that play. I can still score a touchdown. If you have 1 guy on the offensive line or 1 guy in the secondary who does not win his individual battle, the entire unit goes to crap. And so there was a vacuum in Athens in that secondary. It was transfers. Yes. It was I'm going to the NFL. It was I ain't playing anymore, whatever. they brought in a lot of talent. If this was EA Sports, where it's just about agility rating and height and all that other stuff, that'd be one thing. I'm telling you, a secondary and an offensive line, you don't just drop in all-stars and perform at the high level immediately. It takes you a few weeks. And so DJU is going to have an opportunity in week 1. Georgia's the better team, and I expect Georgia to win. But that secondary, it's not just talent in week 1, 2, 3, 4, et cetera. You got to learn those other guys.
Alabama, Georgia expected to be named preseason favorites coming out of SEC Media Days for the West and the East. Behind those teams, is there a team that you can sit here and say, okay, they're going to be second? I didn't see that one coming, but, man, they could finish behind Alabama and Georgia, maybe scare either one of them.
I would say probably LSU, only, but they have plenty of talent, obviously, but only because Texas A&M is so loaded.
Yeah.
And the weird thing about it, I remember Derek Dooley when he was at Tennessee. He was like, I can't get everything lined. This was off air. He's like, I can't get everything lined up. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I got an old offensive line. I got a young quarterback. I got an old quarterback. Got a young offensive line. Texas A&M, I mean, do you finally take that final step after losing a 3.5-year starter at quarterback? Is that when you and 4 starters on the offensive line? Is that when you take the next step? Here's the thing: the way Jimbo's recruited, maybe, and the way he coaches quarterbacks, okay, maybe. So I would say LSU with their talent, just because all the related dysfunction they have there, that would be. It's so weird to say LSU is a dark horse or whatever.
Right.
Georgia's winning the East. Let me tell you that.
Well, yeah.
Unless you have, like a transformational season from Emory Jones, which, Dan Mullen, he could lay hands on that kid, and so suddenly he turns into, first-team All-SEC. Barring that and Brenton Cox getting like 11.5 sacks, Georgia's winning the East. There's so much. Florida looks like Georgia. Nobody else even looks like Georgia, like in warm-ups. And they are so talented. Here's the advantage for the secondary. They're so talented in the front 7 and so deep that they can get simple in the secondary and just fly around, be killers. And so that's the advantage of having 8 linebackers and 9 defensive linemen is you can be simple back there for that acclimation period. Georgia, it's just I don't have a real good guess beyond Florida, and that is so dependent on Mullen and Emory Jones.
It is,
and I'm sorry, it's kind of surprising to me that coming out of spring, I kept hearing, well, Anthony Richardson didn't look so bad. I'm like, that is not what's supposed to be when you've been running around that program with Dan Mullen for 3 years.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And Chuck, we talked about this too before you came on with us. I know you've been covering this for many, many years, and you cover college football nationally as well. But it's unusual when you go into a year as a conference, and yet there's no coach on the hot seat. There's some pressure, but that's, as you were saying, that's different.
Oh, yeah. Clark Lee, I'm sure he, quote, feels pressure. Kirby really feels pressure.
Yeah.
None of them are glad they're renting. Honestly, there's not a single coach in this conference has any sort of hesitation about, refinancing his mortgage. I'll be here long enough for it to pay off. Next year, that could be different. But here's the big thing. Right now in the conference, there's 2 groups, and I'll use UGA as about the best example. Jim Donnan and Mark Richt, there's 2 groups of employees on every industry. It's give me a reason to keep you. Just do something positive that I can rally around and present.
Right.
Just give me a reason to keep you. That was Mark Richt. I hate to say this because I'm good friends with him. Jim Donnan was, give me a reason to fire you. Just give me a reason. I don't know that we have any coach right now in the SEC that's just give me a reason to fire you. Like Will Muschamp last year, give me a reason. Have a bad loss. And then get skull-dragged by a freshman quarterback against LSU. All right, that was enough of a reason. And then Ole Miss and whatever else. See, that's different. I think every coach in the conference right now, even the ones that, quote, feel pressure, I think the attitude is give me a reason to keep you. Just do something.
Well, and I'm
glad who has a better chance in the East to finish ahead of each other, Kentucky or Missouri? Because to me, they seem almost equal, almost on a same.
And yet we
plane.
haven't seen that Kentucky offense, so we don't know how the changes.
That's exactly what it is, and I don't. I'm real fond of Mark Stoops. I love what he's doing up there. I got to see that offense be different. It's kind of like when Kirby says we're throwing to the tight end. No, you're going to throw to the tight end when you think you can get Eric Gilbert in the transfer portal and suddenly Darnell Washington. Did y'all watch the end of the game? He had, I think, 2 catches the entire season. He had 7 targets in the second to last game. Maybe it was the last game. I got to see the offense in Lexington be different.
Okay.
I trust Eli, though. I mean, Eli, he is spinning gold, man. And he doesn't have the roster that Stoops has because Stoops has made that final progression. You know, everybody can – literally everybody can get into the living room. Not everybody can get a commitment. He started getting commitments, and they were good until about January or signing day morning, and they're like, I'm going to be a Buckeye, actually.
Everybody wants to be a Buckeye.
He's stopping that. He's getting kids out of Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all that, and they're finally not all flipping to Ohio State.
Well, and what's going to be fascinating is Gary Pinkel would get him in the top 30, but he never kind of made that jump into the top 15 to 20. If Elijah Drinkwitz can do that with what we saw out of Basilak for most of the season, and then defensively, if they can they got some shoes to fill. But Missouri could be a team that may break through this year, Chuck.
Yeah, here's the biggest
next year.
Biggest challenge for Pinkel. It was always the same as Eli. It's the same for like Mario Cristobal. I know players in Missouri.
Right.
There are any players in
Very
Oregon.
few.
There are any players in Washington State. You've got to go out somewhere. And when you get Dorial Green Beckham, you better sign him. What you can't have is the like in the state of South Carolina, I'll say it. When you get some, game wreckers like Marcus Lattimore and Jadavion and all that. And you got Clemson across. See, that's why, like Shane Beamer right now, you talk about the coach staring at Mount Everest.
Wow, yeah.
First, he operates in a state that does not have game wreckers on a year-to-year basis, and he's got Godzilla across state. So he has to have the combination of a once-in-a-decade year of high school seniors in state and keep Clemson off of them. Good luck.
Yeah.
Sam Pittman did a remarkable job in year 1 at Arkansas. I mean, it was hard to do any worse than what Chad Morris accomplished in his tenure there. But is he able to take Arkansas to that next level or the next step in the progression to getting relevant again?
They're going to be a lot better. I don't know if they'll win any more games. And they're playing more games this year. They'll play 2 more games, and I don't know if they'll win any more.
Okay.
But they're going to be better. I think that what we saw last year, at least what I saw, was, all right, well, that's the value of a quarterback. Oh, yeah, he's pretty important in football. Because Felipe, give him credit. If you gave him some time, he could stand in the pocket and deliver the ball downfield. He really, especially the deep ball. That's how they got up on Georgia.
Yeah.
He was like, all right, I'll do this. And I was like, that's Felipe. Walk downfield, hand it to the receiver. Now, everything else is not perfect with Felipe, but you got a grown man playing quarterback, and that makes a lot of things right.
It is. And my final question for you, Chuck, and we thank you for the time. Is it Alabama and Georgia in your mind, and is this the year that Kirby gets it done?
It could be with Kirby. I see, this is the other thing. I have confidence that whatever the Alabama offense is going to be productive. But, Drew, I've asked you, I was like, I need to know what it's going to look like. I need to know what it's going to look like against Miami. I need what it's going to look like third Saturday in October, Iron Bowl, because it ain't going to be the same, I don't think. I texted a buddy of mine when Bryce Young first showed up, and I was like, our first workout, and he was like, how's he look? He's like, quote, that kid's about to make a lot of money. And he was talking like 3 years down the road. He's like, I don't know what he's going to do. He's like, but he's going to be playing pro ball. So that guy is a Sunday guy no matter what, doing something. I am really, really excited to see how that offense looks.
Yeah, I am too. I'm excited to see the new wrinkles, maybe see more two tights with Latu.
Line up and just mash people a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Texas A&M may do that a little bit at the outset.
And Billingsley as well. I love the way he came on. And I know Bill O'Brien's a big tight end guy, so I'm anxious to see that. Well, Chuck, man, great stuff, and we can't wait to hear your show later today on 97.7 The Zone. But thank you so much for the time.
Yeah.
Anytime. Y'all got status, brother.
Man, Chuck Oliver joining us on I was going to say the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, but in person. SEC Media Days 2021, and we're getting there, Drew. If you look at it, we're almost 3 hours away from Greg Sankey taking to the podium and kicking everything off with the State of the State speech, and then of course we will hear from Dan Mullen, Ed Orgeron, Shane Beamer, all of those guys going off today. And we haven't even mentioned it, but John McDade, the SEC, the coordinator of SEC officials, will go over some of the rule changes and some of the rules to expect for the new year.
Because you've heard Steve Shaw on our station many times now. He is the national coordinator of officials, so he's moving on up.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll continue Talking Ball live, courtesy of University Kia from SEC Media Days 2021.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They sent units back to Old Taylor Road and Taylor Road. I think that's actually going to be the accident. They worked there earlier, but they're still checking it. Picked up one at Jordan and Moore's Mill, no injury. One in Morgan County. This one is in the 1600 block of Indian Hills near Burleson Mountain. Had a Jeep hit a tree there. And we still got a crime scene working in Decatur, 100 block of 5th Avenue Northwest. They have that area blocked off while they investigate. 2030 Fast Track to make your clothes fall off. Greg lost 92 pounds in 6 months on the plan. A free quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Problem. You want to get in shape, but packing a bag, getting gas, and driving to a gym is an expensive hassle. Solution? See Huntsville Fitness Equipment and build your own gym. That's right. Huntsville Fitness Equipment has commercial-grade equipment at home-grade prices. They'll deliver and set it up and save you up to $500 over the competition. And with brand names like Power Plate, Life Fitness, Hoist, and Bodycraft, you'll have quality equipment that lasts. Financing is available. Quality's guaranteed. Huntsville Fitness Equipment, 7540 South Memorial Parkway or fitnesszone.com.
Hey friends, Eli Gold here for Environmental Comfort Systems. If you're concerned about the air quality inside your home, give my friend Rick Smith a call at Environmental Comfort Systems. Their indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of indoor air contaminants. Give the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and see how comfortable you can be. Breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
Hometown Lenders was founded right here in North Alabama on old school principles. We like to call them the 4 Ps. The best products, the best processes, competitive pricing, and of course, the best people. It's why we're one of America's fastest growing mortgage lenders. We're now adding a 5th P, the Hometown Promise. If we don't close on time, you don't pay a dime. Yes, you heard that right. On time, every time, or we refund 100% of our fees.
And now a small business setback is assessed by a beloved family pediatrician.
Oh, hey, Tiger. Big scary tree branch give your work truck a boo-boo? Yeah. Wow. See this thing on my phone here? It's the Progressive mobile app. Just push that little button there and report your claim. Attaboy.
When owning a small business gets painful, Progressive Commercial is here to make it all better. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
What's this? Candy drawer? Who wants a lollipop?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions. Total claims not available in all states or situations.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford, at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect scattered showers and possibly a thunderstorm. High temperatures will be topping out in the upper 70s for the afternoon. And for your Monday night, expect scattered showers to continue. A mostly cloudy sky. Low temperatures will fall into the mid to upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hit the horn! Hard! Up, up, bring it up, grab a knee. Let's go, let's go.
College football lives here.
Today's coverage of the 2021 SEC Media Days is brought to you by University Kia.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
And indeed, welcome back to Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. SEC Media Days 2021 underway here in Hoover. Well, not officially underway. They won't get underway until 11:30 when Greg Sankey takes to the podium. But we are here along Radio Row, courtesy of University Kia, along University Drive, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, the largest volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. We had Chuck Oliver joining us before the break. Great conversation there. You'll be able to hear his show a little bit later this morning on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. But you never know who you're going to run into along Radio Row. And our next guest, Drew, knows a thing or two about a thing or two, especially with college football.
Hey, he had some big shoes to fill from our good friend Phil Savage, and he's done that and more. He's got 4 Super Bowl rings himself. I've texted with him a little bit, but we haven't had a chance to feature him. And but now we get some FaceTime with him, which is even better. And it's Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. Jim, it's great to catch up with you, man. Good morning. How are you?
Doing great, but now that I hear that I'm following up Chuck Oliver, I'm a little nervous here. It's not. I don't know about Phil. I mean, Phil and Phil Savage's shoes, and now Chuck Oliver's. I don't know about that.
Well, let's start there with the Senior Bowl. Everything went off this year. I'm going to say without a hitch, because from our end and looking at it on the NFL Network and everything, it looked like it went off very well.
Yeah, we were, really pleased to get the game in this year. Really proud of our staff and how it came together. It was touch and go there. It wasn't until about early November where we really gathered all the information, did all our homework, talking to guys at the NFL level, college level, what they were doing in terms of protocols, where we felt good about, okay, we can do this. But, we were the first national sporting event outside of the PGA Tour that actually had an event. And, those guys fly privately, not commercially. So we had some challenges getting guys in from all over the country on Delta and American Airlines. But no, it went off great. We gave over 3,600 COVID tests during the week. We only had 1 positive test. And it was the only time during the draft process where the teams got face-to-face with the players. So we felt great about it, and we're fired up for 2022.
Well, Jim, and your event was so critical this year in the draft process because everything else was via Zoom and not in person.
Right.
So it was so key for guys to get evaluated in person like that during the week of the Senior Bowl this year.
Yeah, no, it was big. And, again, a lot of, with my background in the NFL, a lot of these GMs are guys I grew up in the business with, and I can't imagine trying to draft players and not eyeballing them and seeing them perform live and getting face-to-face with them interviews. So yeah, that was a big key, and that's why we had 41% of this year's draft played in the Senior Bowl, which is our biggest number since they start letting juniors in, whatever that was, like close to 20 years ago. So we were really excited about that number as well.
The big thing, though, really, no more Lad Peebles on the campus of South Alabama. Everything right there, though. The practice facilities are all right there. The stadium right there. Everything was in one location for the first time.
Yeah, and it was a little bittersweet. This was our first year in the new stadium. Like you said, we were at Lad Peebles for 70 years, and there's a lot of history there. So you're kind of turning your back on some history, but we had to do it just to keep our game where we need to keep it, and to be at a new state-of-the-art stadium. We went from like a fan's perspective.
Yeah.
We went from a stadium with 8 points of concession to one with 96 points of concession. So, I remember the one year I went to the Senior Bowl as a fan was the Tim Tebow year. And my dad came down from Michigan, and my son was about 5 or 6 years old at the time. And we went to get a hot dog at the end of the first quarter, and we didn't get back to our seats till the end of the second quarter. We missed a whole quarter of action to get a hot dog. So no, we're excited about the new stadium. And like you said, on the NFL Network and just being there live, like it had a different feel. There's, they had a new feel in the new stadium, so it's gonna take our game to the next level.
No doubt. And then we were talking before you came on with us off the air. You're really good friends with Brian Flores, who we're very high on Miami Dolphins. Of course, in our area, we're following Tua Tagovailoa's rise in the NFL, and we're following their team. And now they draft Jalen Waddle. They've got a lot of draft capital. They made moves the last couple of years to to acquire draft picks. They were in the mix for the Deshaun Watson situation, still might be, but we know he has a legal situation that has to be resolved.
Yeah.
But talk about the Dolphins and kind of they took a major step forward last year, nearly making the playoffs.
Yeah, and you didn't mention Big Raekwon too.
Raekwon really came on. I thought the second half of the year.
He really played well down the stretch. He sure did. But yeah, I think there's been too much made of Tua's situation this offseason that they're not happy with him. They're very happy with Tua and his development. I mean, you just look at. I think it's a lot of where we're at right now with Twitter and whatnot, and people being critical of these young guys. I thought he played really well. I've made the point. You go back, if Twitter were a thing when Peyton Manning was a rookie and he threw 27 picks, or when Troy Aikman went 1-15 as a rookie, they would have been running him out of Dallas. So no, Tua's going to be just fine. Tua's going to be fine. And now they added Will Fuller and Waddle. They finally gave him some pieces, and I'm excited where the Dolphins are going to be with more talent on that roster this year.
Well, let's talk about our preparations already underway. I mean, obviously, as soon as the game ends, the Senior Bowl, you work on another one?
Yeah. So really started up in the middle of February.
Yeah.
So I do some ESPN stuff through the draft, and so I'm kind of focused on that part. But our staff starts looking at these guys in February. The board is built. We've got almost 700 names on it right now, which in a normal we're getting all these guys with the extra COVID year.
Yeah.
So that added about 200 names to the board. So I get anxiety when I look at it. I'm trying to work my way through it and look at all the draftable level players. And so it's a long process. I'm not going to get there till probably the start of the kickoff of the season. But that's what I'm doing here. I'm here to meet with these guys. We got Zach Carter, D lineman from Florida, coming in, Ventrell Miller this morning, so look forward to meeting those guys, and just a little bit of a recruiting trip for me.
Yeah, and so and talk about some of the personnel that we see that you're going to be watching closely. Like we saw on Twitter what he did the other day. Evan Neal at Alabama has got some freak athleticism. He's not played left tackle, though. He's been a right tackle. He's going to flip this year to the left side. But I'm sure he's someone you guys are watching closely. I know he'll be a junior, but now you guys can invite some of those guys to the Senior Bowl.
They can if they graduate. And I never like talking about those guys publicly in terms of our game, just because I don't want to ruffle any feathers if Coach Saban is driving around listening to the show right now. But yeah, I don't know. There's we had 16 juniors in the game last year, so it really has helped our rosters.
Yeah,
and the cool thing is, the kids are starting to understand it. We've tried to pump that a lot over the last few years, and I won't say his name, but the best text I've gotten in a long time. A couple weeks ago, an agent texted me, and he said he was sitting with a junior quarterback who everyone's projecting as the first-round pick. And he said, Jim, he's loading up. He's taking 2 classes this summer and 3 in the fall so he can graduate by December. And I said, that is music to my ears. But no, Evan Neal, I saw Evan was at this OL Masterminds thing. It's like a kind of big offensive line symposium thing in Dallas a couple weeks ago. He looks great. But that move from the right side to the left side is, for people that haven't tried to do that, that's a tough thing. It's like try writing right-handed and then trying to write left-handed. It's but he's had a whole off season to make that move, and he's more than talented enough to do it.
And I wanted to ask you about a couple of coaches too, because you've been around the NFL game so long as a scout, and you get a chance to talk to these guys and see them. What is Alabama staff getting in Bill O'Brien and Doug Marrone?
Yeah, so I don't know Coach Marrone as well, just because I never worked on a staff with him. But obviously, he's a really well-respected guy. Great with the big guys. And then Bill, I do have really good background with Bill O'Brien. He and I were in New England together for probably 6 or 7 years together. Extremely smart. Connects well with his players. I think what happened in Houston was he tried to wear 2 hats, and that's tough. That's really tough. Being a general manager is a big enough job in its own, and he was trying to do both things. But, as a football coach, Bill was always one of my favorite guys on our staff in New England to talk to because you sit down with him and you learn football really quickly. And so I know those guys in Tuscaloosa will learn a lot, and I don't know what's going on this offseason with the actual game plan and what they're going to do. Again, Brian Daboll's a buddy of mine from our New England time as well, and I know when Brian went there, they made him learn what they do, right? Like usually you bring in a quarterback or bring in a coordinator and kind of run his stuff, but they have the Alabama offense set in place, so I'm sure Bill's adjusting and adding some of his own wrinkles to it, but they couldn't have got a better guy. You lose Sark and you bring in Bill O'Brien to be your coordinator. That's not many schools could pull that one off.
You bring up Brian Daboll's name. Great year last year in Buffalo. Buffalo resurgence all the way to the top. If they have another year like that offensively, does Brian have a head coaching future then in the NFL? Will his name be mentioned for a vacancy in the NFL?
It absolutely should be. I actually thought this would be the offseason where he got that job. His name was thrown around a lot, and he's more than ready.
Yeah.
We were together in New England and Kansas City, so I've seen Brian grow from like wide receivers coach to coordinator. And, his play calling is tremendous. What he did with Josh Allen, I think you can't look past that. Josh has always had the tools, but to pull it all together there in year 3 for Josh was big. And so, yeah, Brian, I'm excited for Brian. It's always great working with friends that go on and do bigger things, and I think he's right on the cusp of that.
Yeah, there's no question. I really liked. I thought he did an underrated job at Alabama and with Jalen and then with Tua and being able to mesh that offense, no question about it. But you had Mac Jones at the Senior Bowl. You're very familiar with New England, Bill Belichick. How do you see that fit there? I think it's a perfect one, but I
no, you're right. I think it's a perfect place for him. Again, we were kind of pulling for Mac to go to that 4 spot in San Francisco. Would have been cool. I think that would have been like our 5th straight year with a top 10 quarterback in the Senior Bowl. But no, I texted him as soon as he got picked. I said, "You went to the perfect spot, man. Like he is a junkie. You hear about how smart Mac is, and but I've brought this up a couple times. We caught him at the Senior Bowl in the convention center around midnight a couple nights. Just sitting there by himself in the quarterback room watching tape and taking notes. And again, when you see guys do things, and that wasn't for show. He wasn't over there for anyone else to see him. It's like what guys do when no one's watching, kind of tells you who they really are. So Mac's just wired differently. He is an old school junkie. There's not many quarterbacks that still have that to them, and Mac does. So we'll see. I mean, between he and Cam, they've got a good situation. My thing is they're so different. What's going to happen if they start the year with Cam and they got to go to Mac or vice versa? They're going to have to be prepared to run some different stuff because those you couldn't find 2 different quarterbacks.
Jalen Hurts has been mentioned quite a bit, too, because obviously another former Alabama/Oklahoma quarterback, but ready to take the reins in Philadelphia, so we think, right?
Yeah. I mean, we had Jalen in the Senior Bowl a couple years ago, and really I thought when we invited him to Mobile, I thought he'd be like a 4th or 5th round pick. That's where we had him.
Yeah.
Had a really, really good week down in Mobile, and I think what he showed people down there was just kind of who he is. He threw the ball better, and he threw the ball well at the combine and his pro day. But just the way the guy's wired, he's really unique. He's so laser focused on what he's doing. Really kind of stoic, but he's got a resolve about him. So again, is this too soon? Is it going to be too big for him? I don't think so. I think this dude is going to be prepared. And again, with Philly, you got to hope they stay healthy up front. I think that was a huge issue for those guys last year. Quarterbacks running around, and obviously Jalen can run around. He has that in his skill set, but hopefully Lane Johnson and those guys up front can stay healthy, and they added some weapons for him. He's reunited with Devontae, which will be huge. So I'm really excited for Jalen. I became a huge fan during his time in Mobile.
Well, we'd be remiss if I didn't ask you my final question because you had them both. One worked out some, but Devontae was coming back from an injury, but he was there. Your thoughts on Devontae in Philly and Najee Harris in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. It's good having Devontae down there. We don't usually bring injured players to the Senior Bowl. It's not a great. It's difficult for us because you got guys on the sidelines, and then there's other guys looking at the guys on the field. They're looking at him, going, "Well, why does he get to be here? He's not out here." So. But no, Smitty's. I've said he's the best college receiver I've ever scouted.
Wow.
In 25 years. I mean, there's in terms of college players. Now there's guys like Kelvin Johnson who are better pro prospects just because of height, weight, speed, and Julio. But as a college player, I've never seen a college receiver dominate the way Devontae did this year. So I think he's going to a really good spot because they need him. They need him to step up. They need him to be the guy, and I think he's ready to be that. And when going through the whole process, I was banging the Najee Harris to Pittsburgh drum the entire draft process. To me, it just made the most sense. And so I think he's got a chance to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. Not only is he a really good football player, but he gives them an identity. I mean, how many even Devontae doesn't really give Philadelphia an identity. Najee gives Pittsburgh their identity. They're going to run the football and play old school Steeler football. So not a better guy to do it. That, to me, at the 24th pick in the draft, that was an absolute steal.
All right, as we wrap it up with you here, how many times or have you been asked if Aaron Rodgers is going to play this year?
Well, I've been asked it a lot, but I hear, I don't hear Aaron's side. I hear the guys from the front office's side. Those are I've got a bunch of buddies that work up there in the scouting department, so I kind of hear their side. I never hear the player side. So we'll see. I know they want him there. I will say that the front office wants him there. They know that he gives them their best chance to win. So we'll see how this whole saga plays out.
Yeah, we do need him as part of the game. Well, Jim, it's been great to have you for the first time. We hope we can catch up again soon. But thank you so much for taking the time out to join us here on Radio Row in Hoover for SEC Media Days.
Yeah, fellas, I appreciate it. This was fun.
Continued success, man.
All right, that is some good stuff right there. And the Senior Bowl, obviously, we are tied to the Senior Bowl here at 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I mean, Billy Neighbors in the Senior Bowl Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly.
Connor
Neighbors played in it.
Yes, we're very well connected and very well. Our fabric here at the station is very woven deep into the Senior Bowl. So it's always good when the director of the Senior Bowl can stop by, Jim Nagy and Phil Nagy.
Well, that's what this week is all about, free flow radio, where you just see somebody, hey, go grab him real quick. And so that's what we've been doing today. Charlie Plott wrapped up the British Open for us, which he always does, but the rest of it is about talking football and catching up with people and getting FaceTime with people like a Jim Nagy, who you maybe texted with and followed on Twitter and seen some comments he's made and really like the way he runs the Senior Bowl and his knowledge. But getting a chance to meet him in person and talk football for a few minutes is a great honor.
It's been fun, and the fun is not going to end. Let's get a break in, because when we come back, we're going to wrap up our 2-hour version of Talking Ball. But don't forget,
the bonus
we're
coverage.
not stopping at 9 o'clock. We're going straight on through. And we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll talk more SEC Media Days 2021 live from Hoover, courtesy of University of Ken.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's got a report of a wreck in Decatur on Central Parkway near Decatur Utilities. Not much to it. Got a Jeep that's hit a tree on Indian Hills near Burleson Mountain in Decatur. Still may be working with that one. Jordan and Moore's Mill is going to turn out to be a no injury. Nobody going to the hospital from that one. Got a vehicle fire, mile marker 10, eastbound on 565. Madison PD and Madison Fire should be there. Snelling needs a warehouse associate, a receptionist, and an inside sales rep. All for Decatur. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Listen to the Tom Abraham Show.
And he loves fishing.
I'm going to tweet this out.
I've never seen you fanboy as hard as you did today, so congratulations.
I love this guy.
You kept your composure, but
I know
you fanboyed pretty hard.
I did. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I'm not even a little bit not going to say that. I mean, that to me is, that's, broadcasters are a thing for me.
Listen to the Big Dog, weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed precision overhead garage door service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision overhead garage door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision overhead garage door service. Call 256-400-4500.
Hometown Lenders was founded right here in North Alabama on old school principles. We like to call them the 4 Ps. The best products, the best processes, competitive pricing, and of course, the best people. It's why we're one of America's fastest growing mortgage lenders. We're now adding a 5th P, the Hometown Promise. If we don't close on time, you don't pay a dime. Yes, you heard that right. On time, every time, or we refund 100% of our fees.
Get savings on Pro Essentials at the Lowe's Just for Pros event going on now. Save on select appliance special values. Plus, save an additional $50 when you buy 2 or more appliances, each priced $396 or more. Find more savings throughout the store at Lowe's, the new home for pros. Must ask cashier to apply discount in store. Online must use promo code. Can't be combined with any other discounts. See Lowe's.com for exclusions and terms. Valid 7/15 through 8/4. U.S. only.
Contractors and homeowners throughout the Tennessee Valley agree. Valley Equipment Rental is the place to go when you need to get the job done like a pro. Rhyming aside, Valley Equipment has everything you need for your project, from tillers for the garden to aerators for the lawn to stump grinders, augers, and mowers, plus skid steer and mini excavators. Oh, the skid steer and excavators. Valley Equipment is North Alabama's leader in skids and excavators with 25 of each, and they have them in all different sizes. Check them out today on the South Parkway or at valleyequipmentrents.com.
The forecast calls for football with a strong wind blowing in from training camp.
Football was priority. It's a long football season. It's called tackle football.
A heavy rain of hitting coupled with an afternoon film session. Listen to all the coverage on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hit the horn! Horn! Up, bring it up, grab a knee. Let's go.
College football lives here.
Today's coverage of the 2021 SEC Media Days is brought to you by University Kia.
Welcome back to SEC Media Days 2021, courtesy. Today's coverage brought to you by University Kia along University Drive, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, the official transportation provider of Talkin Ball here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone for SEC Media Days 2021. Again, Dan Mullen, 12:15. That is when he will make his first appearance here at SEC Media Days. We will hear from Dan Mullen a little bit later this afternoon at Orgeron 140 and Shane Beamer at 3. So you got Florida, LSU, and South Carolina here today. LSU probably, Drew, an interesting team to be headlining day one, simply because last year they finished strong but started awful, rallied with everything that was going on with the LSU program last year. This year we don't expect a lot of that, do we?
I would hope not. I mean, there's still things going on. A mess that Les Miles left, and we talked about what happened at Kansas with Coach Miles too. The more that comes out, the more it's just disturbing. This whole Darius Guy situation. But when you just talk about the meat and potatoes of football, and you look at their roster and the way they finished, because honestly, I thought it was going to be 3-7, man.
Right.
I really thought they would lose to Florida, which they should have, but we know, hey, it's not their fault that somebody threw a shoe. And then with Ole Miss and the way they came back and Max Johnson performed, I just felt like it completely kind of changed the narrative going in, because it bought him some more. He had equity anyway, but now it bought him some more time. And I think, and to fix the issues of what happened a year ago.
Right.
He had equity with the national championship, but come on, man. Look, he's not going to be on the hot seat. He's going to have some pressure. But, winning 2 games, they didn't get a chance to go to a bowl because they're trying to get this NCAA thing resolved. But that wasn't even a big deal. I think it was better just to have the taste in your mouth of winning those 2. Ole Miss is one of their biggest traditional rivals. Beating Florida, who was the champion of the East, it was huge. And then it got you to thinking, well, if Miles Brennan can't come back from this injury, because it's an unusual abdominal injury, you've got Max Johnson and what he's done. It gave you a lot. And then Keyshawn Butte, what he did against Ole Miss, and 300 yards receiving,
right,
just going ballistic. It just makes you feel like, okay, we're going in with some momentum. And then they finished the recruiting class off with guys like Mason Smith in state. Brian Thomas, the wide receiver. So they've got to feel good about recruiting. They're recruiting well now. And so now they're just trying to focus on football. Coach O looked like he made some adjustments and got some guys on the staff that he's comfortable with, especially defensively. Because defensively they were an absolute abomination. I mean, it was the worst defense in LSU history.
Right.
You think about all the talent that's been in that program. I know they had opt-outs and all this kind of stuff, but it was just not good. And so I still think from a talent perspective, 1 through 85, they're behind Alabama, but I still think they're ahead of Texas A&M. If these coaching changes work, I think they can, even with the loss of the left tackle to Kentucky, but see, that was really LSU's choice. with Dare Rosenthal. I still think LSU can finish second in the West and win 9-10 games. And if they do, it's not a national championship, but come on, man. Orgeron's one of them. They're not going to give him a bunch of hell if he finishes second to Alabama, especially considering it's a step forward from the way they finished last year and getting through this COVID deal. But they've still got to navigate the off-the-field stuff. But if they can finally put those fires out, I think Orgeron can bounce back. And,
it would put to rest the conversation that Ed Orgeron is on the same path as what Gene Chizik endured.
Yeah, I'm not going there yet. Come on. Look, I know.
You're not going there yet, but the conversation, everybody outside of the program is still quick to point out that he is similar is he still on the same path as Gene Chizik? He hasn't separated himself yet from.
Well, a bounce back year would do that.
That's what I'm
saying.
Spades. Yes.
And so I think really, we'll see. I'm not at all ready to say that about, that where Gene Chizik goes from 2010 national champ to 2 years later, going 3-9 and not winning an SEC game and getting canned. I don't see it going down that path. Now, the only way that could happen where Orgeron would be dismissed, it would have more to do with off-the-field stuff than the on-the-field product, in my opinion. But, again, I still think a lot of that is going to be heaped at the feet of Les Miles. Now, we don't know all the information.
We don't. No.
So we will see what continues to come out. But I do think right now I know that some people want to bring up that conversation, but I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready. We really haven't seen that before or since, where a coach like Gene Chizik, they put it all together. They have a monstrosity of a year going unbeaten. They win a national championship for the first time since 1957, I believe, and they win it. They win a title. They finally something Pat Dye couldn't do, came close, didn't do it. But then 2 years later, they're so bad.
The wheels fall off so bad.
And don't forget, first year for Gus, they're a minute and a half away from the national championship in his first year.
Yes.
What a turnaround. So it was some crazy roller coaster type stuff, but I'm not ready to say that with Ed Orgeron. Something would have to happen, to really train wreck it. And I don't see that right now. It's like what Chuck Oliver said at the top of the hour. I don't think they have anybody right now, to me, in the league that's on the hot seat. Now, if Ed Orgeron has another 7-5 or 6-6, if something goes horrifically bad,
yes.
Which going into his second year, we thought about that because when they got Joe Burrow, we didn't know who Joe Burrow was. I mean, I knew who he was, but we didn't know how good he was. So there was talk of 6-6 and 7-5 and being on the hot seat. But they won 9 games. Then they win a national championship. So he had 2 back-to-back strong seasons. The only way he starts feeling immense pressure is if they slip out of that top 3 in the West, and I just don't see it if they stay healthy and these coaches that he hired, like Mangus and those guys and Pete's, work out.
We don't talk about it. We've talked about, and you are high on him, and he should be. Mark Stoops gets a lot of praise, and Chuck Oliver gave him a lot of praise sitting here at the table here to kick off hour number 2, and what he's been able to do at Kentucky. When does Mark Stoops feel the pressure of having to, I don't want to say elevate the Kentucky program because he's done that, but what kind of pressure does Mark Stoops face at Kentucky? What kind of pressure does he face? Does he face any pressure at all to try to get that program, I don't want to say to win the East, but
no.
Does he feel any pressure at all to
No.
take that next step to get Kentucky second and third annually in the East?
He is at a place, Scott.
Right.
Even though they put a ton of money into facilities and they want to win in football, but winning isn't put in context at Kentucky.
Okay.
Winning 10 games is like throw a party all year long, and he did that a couple years ago. And then last year they still won a bowl game. You know what I'm saying? He's winning bowl games. He's getting to bowl games. As long as he keeps that up, there's not going to be pressure. They are going to be satisfied because everybody knows what the pressure is. It's on Calipari in basketball. Football is a distraction. They like it. They support it. They fill the stadium. But as long as they're competitive and they're winning 8 games a year, which he can do, they're going to be satisfied. I don't think it's ever going to come to, well, dadgummit, if he doesn't win 10 or 11, we're getting rid of him. What?
Well, I was wondering that, though. That's what I was kind of wondering. If the expectations eventually become that for Mark Stoops at Kentucky?
I doubt it. The only way that would happen is maybe if he went back-to-back 10 wins, but that's going to be really hard to do at Kentucky. Okay? But if you can keep making bowls and do what Rich Brooks did. When Rich turned the corner, remember, he didn't get fired at Kentucky. He retired.
True that.
Okay?
True.
So he got them to be very competitive. They were turning out pros, and they were winning bowl games and things, getting to bowl games, getting to post, and they were good. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. Stoops is kind of taking it to the next level, in my opinion. And, of course, it kind of helps while he was there, the administration took the next step to commit to football. But, again, I don't see it ever being a situation at Kentucky where, we're going to fire you, if you don't win X. Because the only way Stoops will get in trouble is if the bottom falls out, and what if he had like 2 or 3 losing seasons in a row. But the way he's recruiting and the way he set up, some pipelines in Michigan, pipelines in Ohio, now Chuck Oliver made a great point. I got to believe it, see it to believe it, that he's not going to just be ground and pound, 70-30 run, 80-20 run, and throwing. But if he really is going to go to the spread and be balanced and kind of modernize his offense, he could be there for as long as he wants to. And we know he's already basically turned away Florida State. And turned away interest in that job. And did you ever, I never would have thought in my mind that would ever happen, to see a Kentucky football coach who has connections to Florida State because he was a defensive coordinator there, not go there when given the opportunity and stay at Kentucky. Because he's worried that he thought, and he's right, that Kentucky's administration committed to football more than Florida State's.
Never would have thought that would have been the case.
No, never. Because Bobby Bowden and even Jimbo for a few years covered up a lot of that. Now, Jimbo kept battling behind the scenes, and that's one reason why he left. But Bobby Bowden was easy to please. He did not raise Cain about facilities and things of that nature. He just out-coached people.
Right.
But, again, the game changes, and it becomes a facility race. And so, but Bobby Bowden also knew how to handle people.
Well, I think, though, too, when Bobby Bowden was coaching.
Not very – he's down home.
Yes, when Bobby Bowden was coaching, it was more about the X's and O's, not about the facilities of what you had. Yeah. You just made do with what you had. You were able to win, and that was good enough. Now you have to be able to win. You have to be able to have the best facilities because kids these days are expecting a lot more than what they did 20 years ago.
Well, what you at least have to do if you're Florida State, now you have to keep up with Clemson.
Right.
Okay, and Clemson has done a lot of things for Dabo because of what he's done, winning 2 national championships. That is your bar. You have to at least do that much because if you're Florida State, look, look, what have I said ad nauseum the last few years? Clemson and the Clowns. You've got to get out of the clown category and end up improving your facility and make the league better.
How do you get out of the clown category?
Win. Commit. Spend money. That's how you get out of that.
You don't want to be in the clown category.
You don't.
Who's in the – you know what? We'll find out who's in the SEC clown category coming up. We got our bonus coverage from SEC Media Days coming up after the break. Plus, of the 8 new SEC head coaches making SEC Media Day rounds, which one will make the best first impression? We'll go over that when we kick off our bonus coverage from SEC Media Days 2021 after these messages.
Hometown Lenders was founded right here in North Alabama on old school principles. We like to call them the 4 Ps. The best products, the best processes, competitive pricing, and of course, the best people. It's why we're one of America's fastest growing mortgage lenders. We're now adding a 5th P, the Hometown Promise. If we don't close on time, you don't pay a dime. Yes, you heard that right. On time, every time, or we refund 100% of our fees.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville. Call 256-713-0575.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brett Musburger's Action Update. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
Baseball, the Braves at home against the Padres today. Atlanta plus 110 on the money line at home. The Padres at minus 141. The over-under 9. Kyle Muller getting the start for Atlanta against Yu Darvish for San Diego. The Milwaukee Bucks 1 game away from an NBA championship after taking Game 5 in Phoenix. They are back at home for Game 6 on Tuesday night and a 5-point favorite to the over-under 222. The 2021 Major League Baseball season has resumed, and the odds for who will win the World Series has been updated again, with the Dodgers still atop the odds at plus 350. The Houston Astros behind them at plus 500. The Padres and White Sox each at plus 700, and the Mets at plus 900.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
Hit the horn! Horn! Up, bring it up, grab a knee. Let's go.
College football lives here.
Today's coverage of the 2021 SEC Media Days is brought to you by University Kia. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
That's right. This is bonus coverage of Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, presented by University Kia on this Monday. Coming to you live from SEC Media Days 2021. And here is how it'll look. Greg Sankey will visit with the media at 11:30. That'll get everything underway. John McDade, from the coordinator of SEC officials, will meet the media throughout the day as well. But your 3 head coaches to kick off day 1 will be Dan Mullen at 12:15. Then Ed Orgeron will go at 1:40. Shane Beamer will hit the podium at 3 o'clock. That's when their first appearances will be. So you have Florida, LSU, and South Carolina headlining day 1. Oh, we talked about missing the star power in hour number 1. Only 3 of the 14 teams are bringing a quarterback to the media days. 2019, Drew, we had 9 of the 14 teams bring quarterbacks. But we also have, because we didn't have SEC Media Days last year, there are 8 new coaches. When I say new, I don't mean all first year, but there are 8 SEC coaches making the rounds for SEC Media Days for the very first time. Sam Pittman, Brian Harsin, Mike Leach, Eli Drinkwitz, Lane Kiffin, by the way, because he had not been here with Ole Miss yet.
That's right.
Shane Beamer, Josh Heupel, and Clark Lee. Those are the coaches making their initial. Now, for Lane Kiffin, this is new school, same hat, because he was here for Tennessee for that 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
But 8 new coaches. Who is going to make the best impression among that list?
Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting, but I think a lot of people are going to want to talk to the 2 Mississippi guys.
Right.
Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach. Both are unique characters. Both have been head coaches in previous conferences. They've both, of course, in the Pac-12, but this is a lot different. This is the SEC. So I'm anxious to hear from Lane Kiffin. There's no telling what kind of takes he may have. Same way with Mike Leach. They both have unique stories in college football, and so I'm anxious to hear from both guys. You know, Lane did some really good things in year one at Ole Miss, really gave Alabama a run. Mike Leach, it was a little bit rougher, but
right.
we've talked about pretty much everywhere he's been in the two main places, Texas Tech and Washington State. It was the same way. The first year was really rough, and you had to get his guys in there, especially offensively, to start playing his kind of football. I still think he can turn Mississippi State back into a perennial bowl team like we saw out of Dan Mullen for nearly a decade. He can make them very competitive. So very excited to see, you know, what's in store. I think the Mississippi schools both made good hires. They both got guys that create headlines, and I think that's what they need, create buzz for their programs, and certainly, especially with Ole Miss still trying to get out from under there, and they pretty much are, the Hugh Freeze situation. But again, they're trying to move on, and Lane Kiffin is a high-profile guy who's been a lot of different places and who's won a lot of football games. And so, I'm anxious to see Lane and of course, Mike Leach.
All right, Sam Pittman will be good. Brian Harsin, we're going to get to hear from him. Tomorrow, Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. Those will be the schools that will headline SEC Media Days. Again, today it is Florida, LSU, and South Carolina. All right, this is fun. This has been fun for the 2 days or for the 4 days. Yeah, we love to do this because you never know who's going to sit down in the chair. And with LSU being here, good time to get some good comments.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite guys, he just started a new YouTube channel, and I watched the 16-minute take on Les Miles. I was falling out of my chair. It was great stuff, and it was off the cuff.
Yes.
And I've seen this guy also with our good friend Matt Moscona. Their wrap-up show after LSU games is great. It's just a must-watch. It's Jordy Collada, and he's with us here on Radio Row here in Hoover. Jordy, this is the first time we've spoken with you. We thank you for taking the time.
Yes.
I know you just got here. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, man. It feels like football season. The official kickoff is finally here, and thank you guys for having me on, and thanks for the introduction. And it feels like we're getting closer. We're a step closer to kickoff, and this is usually when we head back to Baton Rouge. We kind of say that football season is right in front of us. So it is good to be here.
We get to hear from Ed Orgeron today.
Yeah.
LSU front and center later in the afternoon. What do you expect Ed Orgeron is going to do today? Is he going to stand up there and do the traditional read the roster again like we've heard from him in the past?
Yeah. We have seen him go a couple of different ways here.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that he's going to try to filibuster as long as possible because
I wonder why.
There's going to be a lot of questions for him and maybe not as many on the football field
right.
That he is going to try to stay clear from today. I'd imagine that his PR team has got him coached up on how to handle it. But yes, I would think that he would try to kill as much time and keep the microphones out of the public's hand as long as possible because there will be some flurry of questions heading his way.
Well, Jordy, I made this comment before we got you on. I still think most of this is he's still cleaning up a mess.
Yeah.
And in a way, this happened with, and he couldn't manage it, and it ended up getting him. But when we saw. Will Muschamp at Florida, he was trying to clean up a mess because Urban Meyer had left it. By the time he left Florida, it was not good.
Yeah.
It seems almost similarly with what Les Miles left Ed Orgeron, and he's still trying to deal with it. Is that accurate?
There is a piece of that. A lot of the Darius Geist stuff,
yes.
Some of the stuff that was before him. But look, Orgeron hasn't been the master of public relations in his own right. I think that there is some blame to point at him. Not so much the egregious stuff that was happening off the field. That stuff will work itself out in a court of law. And look, he's been put on a potential witness list, and even somebody that has been accused here of a possible cover-up. So this stuff could get real serious really quick for Orgeron. But as far as off-the-field public relations, he hasn't managed it as perfect or as good as you maybe have liked if you're his boss or if you're the president of the university. So, I think that he'll answer some questions here today about that. Last year, not having this event really kind of bailed him out in the sense of, look, right after the championship, LSU was experiencing a lot of success. Then some stuff started to come out on his personal stuff that, maybe could be off limits, but it was out there on social media. So an event like this can bring some questions his way. So he may have some stuff to answer today that he hasn't had to face for over a year.
And I imagine there would have been a few questions about the off-the-field stuff, but maybe not a ton until the recent Les Miles stuff popped back up at Kansas.
Yes, and look, this stuff coming back up with Les is, man, it's tough to really read and see the kind of guy that he was at Kansas and what was going on there, and some of the stuff that we know was happening at LSU. And with that, the attention does bring the spotlight to the LSU head football coach. And for that, Orgeron today will take the podium, and he'll have to answer some questions for the past regime. And LSU publicly has not had to face what they will be presented with today. You know, I mean, a lot of the message they've been able to control, they've been able to narrate. A lot of the stuff has been from Baton Rouge and in Louisiana, where the media and you know, I'm a part of that. Maybe has not asked the hardest questions. And today, I'd imagine that Ed Orgeron will get that.
No doubt, Jordy. And how good can this LSU team be? I'm still thinking they're the second best team in the West. I'm not really buying A&M yet, especially because of the quarterback situation. They've got a new guy. I thought that the finish – I don't really think it's being played up enough nationally. They've been winning the last two, and then what Max Johnson did. I think they're still right behind Alabama. What do you think?
I love their roster. You know,
right.
When you look at their roster just from a 30,000-foot scope, I mean, they really got championship talent. They've got some questions on the offensive line, and they were just hit really hard with losing Dare Rosenthal. He hit the transfer portal, and he ended up at Kentucky. And, you know, going into the season, that was – or even going into the offseason, that was really a question that I had. Who was going to be the guy on the offensive line that stepped up? Because they're going to have to be somebody that steps in just – by the nature of the sport. You're not going to be able to play these five guys and not think that you can't rotate some depth. And really, when you look at the depth on this offensive line, they got guys. They've recruited, but they've got a lot of unproven. They've got a lot of unanswered questions. They've got a lot of guys that have not played quality reps, road stadiums, SEC-type environments. So, you know, I mean, look, they've got talent, but a lot of it's unanswered at this point.
Ed Orgeron trying to dip back into a little bit of the magic from that national championship season, especially on the offense, bringing in some new faces to go back to the style of offense that he wants. But a lot of people also forget that he's got a new defensive coordinator as well, because Bo Pelini was a disaster.
That's where they got to fix it,
An epic disaster. And Orgeron, again, here's another example of him not doing himself any favors in the public when he gets on public radio and admits that he didn't interview him. Right?
That's right.
I mean,
remember that.
I mean,
yes.
That to me was almost a part of that was like insubordination. You know, I mean, to admit that publicly was very embarrassing. I think Scott Woodward sees that stuff. You know, remember, Scott Woodward didn't hire Orgeron.
Right.
But his first year here, Orgeron wins the national championship. His second year here, he goes 5-5, and it looks like the wheels could be falling off. So this year for Orgeron is very important, and I think those hires dictate that. You know what I mean? After the championship, guys like George Munoz was taken with Dave Aranda over to Baylor. As soon as Orgeron can get his hands back on Munoz, he's bringing him back. He's now back here as an offensive quality control assistant. You mentioned the new two defensive coordinators. Durante Jones on the defensive side is an NFL lifer, a guy that really understands what it's like to get into play on Sundays. He's a defensive back guy by trade. So when you think of DBU and LSU, that message has been taken, is translated very clearly. So yes, I mean, when you look at the way that Orgeron is hired here this offseason, it tells you the emergency, the alertness that he has in his job security, because you know, we've seen him come from that Les Miles mold where you more or less hire your friends rather than maybe the best candidate, and he did that after the championship season. Now he's going and he's getting the best guy for the job because his job may be on the line.
Is his job really on the line?
I think from what we say in the standpoint of Scott Woodward is doing the evaluating, not the guy that hired him. Some of the public relations stuff that off the field could have easily been eluded and stayed away from. The admitting that you didn't interview coordinators for a job, looking at some of the social media stuff that have come out around him. Scott Woodward looks at the LSU football program as the lottery ticket and the golden goose for the entire campus and the entire athletic administration. He looks at the head coach of that spot as the CEO of almost a university right? Almost the front door to the school. He's not going to put up with a lot of missteps in public relations. He's going to make sure that job and that seat respects the gig day in, day out. And I think that there are some questions from Woodward's office whether or not Orgeron does that 365 days a year.
And, Jordy, how big is the change at O-line, Coach? Because you just talked about the loss of Dare Rosenthal, but you go from James Craig to Brad Davis. I know he's a Baton Rouge native. I know he's well respected in the business. Sam Pittman was livid to lose him.
Yeah.
But they paid him. They're paying him really nice money. But it was a late change. Talk about that.
They had to start hitting on recruiting. I mean,
yeah.
James Craig just swung and missed too many times. And if you're an offensive lineman and one of your priorities is to play early, well then why are you not at LSU? You know, I mean, some of these guys that they missed out on last cycle, guys like Tristan Lee, who ended up at at Clemson out of Virginia. You know, LSU felt like they were in the driver's seat for a lot of that recruitment, but come to find out, they really never had a chance. And James Craig just wasn't getting it done in a recruiting standpoint. And Davis is a guy who has Baton Rouge ties, who is a hell of a recruiter, but he can coach it as well. So, you know, the move, I think, from a timing standpoint, did make a lot of sense, but they had their back up against the wall as far as Craig went, because it looked like there was some trouble in recruiting with what Craig did. He was not being able to bring the guys in. And then from the development standpoint, I mean, just like we talked about a couple of minutes ago, I mean, the depth at offensive line, they've got guys. It's just very unproven, and nobody's been able to step in there and make a difference.
Well, and as we're wrapping it up with you, tell us a little, what's the ceiling for this team? And I'll put the quarterback. Is it Miles? Is it Max? Who is it in your mind?
To me, I think it's Max Johnson. I don't think it's close.
Wow.
And look, Orgeron again last week got on New Orleans radio with Bobby Hebert and Christian Garrick and said the guys in the locker room know who the quarterback is. They know who the better player is. And if it's that evident and he's talking like that publicly, everybody who I've spoke to, everybody who I trust around LSU football says that it's Max Johnson. And, guys, it's just – to me, it's Max because he gives LSU, or he gives defending defensive coordinators, opposing defensive coordinators, so much more to think about.
Right.
Miles Brennan can make all the throws. He's an NFL arm. He's got that in his arsenal. But as far as being a dual threat, if something breaks down, can he keep a play alive and maybe pick you up a couple of yards with his feet, or get a ball thrown down the field after a scramble and keeping a play alive? Not as good as Max Johnson can. And that's not to say that Brennan can't play on Sunday, but on this team, I think that Johnson is the best guy for the job. And if they can catch a couple of breaks, I look at that Kentucky game. That Kentucky game jumps at me, man. In between Florida and Auburn, that to me is the definition of a trap game. The UCLA opener to me is an enormous game, and then the Texas A&M game on the back end is now become a swing game in the West with the way that LSU and A&M have recruited. So I think a couple of breaks in the schedule that this team can get to 10 wins. They need to catch some breaks, but they look more like a 9-3 team to me.
If they win 9 out, is Ed Orgeron safe? I mean, you think there's some pressure, but he should be safe, right?
I think he's safe with 9 wins. Also, the stuff off the field stays calm and doesn't flare up. But, yes, I think 9 wins should preserve him here at LSU. But anything less than that, and they're going to be debating whether or not he'll be back, in my opinion.
That opener is huge because you got 2 coaches that need it.
You
got Chip Kelly out there at UCLA that needs a big win. You got Ed Orgeron that needs to come out. And, I mean, everybody remembers Mississippi State last year and the opener and the disappointment. He can't do that again this year.
Maybe this is a statement win. Yeah, because LSU, we remember when they came out and ambushed Oregon. Maybe they will. That was the kind of honey badger breakout. Maybe we have it again.
And look, behind closed doors, people feel like that team is as talented. This team could be as talented as that group. I mean, they've got a lot of high-end guys that they've recruited.
Well, before we let you go, let everybody know about the Jordy Culotta Show. Thank you so much. It's been really fun to have you on.
It's been great to be with you guys. I appreciate you having me, Drew. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're at JordyCulottaShow.com. I mean, the digital age is here, right? And we're fully embracing it. And you can find us there from 7 to 9 a.m. every single day. And we're on at Culotta Show on social media.
Well, hopefully we can record something with you down the road.
Absolutely.
You're on this next time, but thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Great stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Jordy Culotta joining us here in person at SEC Media Days 2021. Good stuff. Let's get our final break in before we turn it over to Tom Abraham.
Hometown Lenders was founded right here in North Alabama on old school principles. We like to call them the 4 Ps. The best products, the best processes, competitive pricing, and of course, the best people. It's why we're one of America's fastest growing mortgage lenders. We're now adding a 5th P, the Hometown Promise. If we don't close on time, you don't pay a dime. Yes, you heard that right. On time, every time, or we refund 100% of our fees.
It just works. Picture this. You're at home, doing whatever it is you do. Then, pow! The power goes out. Then what? Well, at my house, life goes on. We have a Generac automatic home standby generator from Current Electrical and Generator Services. For your home security and peace of mind, get a free personal consultation on how a Generac automatic home standby generator can protect you. Current Electrical and Generator Services. Call or visit us on the web at HuntsvilleGenerators.com. You've got the power.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. The electrical panel is the heart of your home's electrical system. Malfunctions can lead to hazards like fire or power outages, leaving your home at risk or in the dark altogether. Fixing it quickly will help keep you and your family safe. So trust our team of electrical experts at Mr. Sparky to get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Hit the horn! Horn! Bring it up, grab a knee. Let's go.
College football lives here.
Today's coverage of the 2021 SEC Media Days is brought to you by University Kia.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to Talking Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you live from SEC Media Days 2021. Thank you to University Kia for making this Monday coverage possible here from Hoover. They are the official transportation provider of Talking Ball, and they are the largest volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, the number one volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. That is University Kia along University Drive. And just a couple more minutes for us, and we will hand the torch off to Tom Abraham, and he'll stay with you until noon from SEC Media Days. And, Drew, we have had one heck of a show to jumpstart the week. We're going to be here till Thursday, and if that's what we're offering you on a Monday.
Great. I mean, we were a little bit, everybody was a little sketchy about how it was going to go.
Yes.
I mean, there's COVID protocols and everything, not as many radio tables. Who are you gonna? And again, we always call it free flow radio. So we had one scheduled guest, which we had Charlie Plott. Then we were able to grab Chuck Oliver. But the real story too, Chuck is so tremendous.
Buck Ballou.
But we ended up grabbing Buck Ballou for the first time. We get Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Senior Bowl, and then Jordy Collada. So we've had a lot of great conversation today.
And I took away from that Jordy Collada interview, which I kind of
some great insight into that interview.
We've been talking
right
about, and we'd asked the question, who has a hot seat, if there's anybody that has a hot seat. But Jordy's making it known that Ed Orgeron's seat may be a little hotter than what we think.
That's
from
probably
the
storyline of our show
today.
I mean, and there's nobody really closer than Matt Moscona and Jordy Collada to LSU. And T-Bob Hebert, they're all been featured.
Yes.
We were glad to add Jordy, but we featured Matt many times. T-Bob will be on the drive tonight. I'll just go ahead and tell everybody. So you can just pretty much count on that. So that's very interesting insight that there actually may be a coach on the hot seat because of some factors off the field. And then as far as running the football program, some missteps and with the way they handle public relations and just some situations that Scott Woodward's looking at. Because as Jordy pointed out a couple times, Scott Woodward didn't hire him. He inherited him, and so he's watching it very closely. And Ed Orgeron's making $7 million a year, so we'll see. And then we've seen people all day, all morning. We just saw Mike Griffith, so he's here. So a lot of great people here so far.
It'll be interesting then to see how Ed Orgeron approaches at 1:40. Ed Orgeron will be in what they call the main media room. That is where all your beat writers, your newspaper writers that are still around, everybody will gather in a room at 1:40, and that is where Ed Orgeron will make his first statements. It'll be interesting to see what Ed Orgeron does, how he handles it, how well he's been coached by his PR team, and what he says specifically, and does he drag out his introductory stuff so that he doesn't have to take a lot of questions, because he is going to get hammered about the off-the-field issues at Baton Rouge today, because as Jordy says, this is the first time that the national media, the media outside of Baton Rouge, has been able to talk to Ed Orgeron about stuff that he didn't control with Les Miles, but stuff that he is being asked about and has to handle it.
Well, and then the other insight I took from him, too, is he said Ed Orgeron was on in New Orleans just a few days ago and said the football team knows who the quarterback is.
Right.
And so he believes it's Mac Johnson, and it's not close, and it's not Miles Brennan, which is very interesting because that's one of the biggest – that's really the biggest storyline of fall camp for LSU, deciding who their starting QB is.
All right, so that has been some great stuff. That is kind of summing up our nutshell of what we had. Now, don't forget – we're going to be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, all that stuff all week long here from SEC Media Days. You're going to be able to go back and listen to all the shows. We're going to have it all available for you. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, on Twitter all week long, as we will have content that we get from here, from the SEC, from interviews and everything. We are going to do our best to make you have a front row seat to everything that is going on here in Hoover. Just make sure you give us a like and a follow on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date with everything that's going on here at SEC Media Days. We're not relying on other stations to do our coverage. We're going to make sure that we have it live for you all 4 days.
Yeah, we are. Thank you to Charlie Plott, Plott Performance, Maricama. What a British Open for him. His second major, and he's under 25 years old. Colin Marikawa, excuse me. But what a journey for him this weekend. And then, of course, we are live here at Winfrey SEC Media Days. Thanks to Chuck Oliver. Thanks to Jim Nagy, Jordy Collada, Buck Ballou, everyone. It's been great conversation.
All right, guys, we'll be back with you tomorrow morning. But don't forget, Tom Abraham's going to take you all the way up till noon. Then you got the Chuck Oliver Show. Then you got Paul Feinbaum. And then you got The Drive from 5 to 7 with Wes and Steve live from SEC Media Days 2021.
Our latest zone deal is from the Hummus and Pita Company, where everything served is made from scratch right on site. Executive Chef Jose Tapia's menu draws its inspiration from across the Mediterranean and beyond, with nods to Greece, Israel, Morocco, and the Middle East. And right now, you can enjoy $50 worth of the scratch-made goodness of the Hummus and Pita Company for half price, just $25. Log on 977ESPN.com now for your half-price zone deal from the Hummus and Pita Company, and get yours before they're gone.
Hometown Lenders was founded right here in North Alabama on old school principles. We like to call them the 4 Ps. The best products, the best processes, competitive pricing, and of course, the best people. It's why we're one of America's fastest growing mortgage lenders. We're now adding a 5th P, the Hometown Promise. If we don't close on time, you don't pay a dime. Yes, you heard that right. On time, every time, or we refund 100% of our fees.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed